Hello and welcome again to another episode of One Starfish, where our mission is to help change the world one starfish or one person at a time. As always, guys, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, share. It's how we get the word out about what we do. We have some amazing guests on. I'm really excited for our guest today. Joe and I just met. He runs S.O.S. Dojo, if I got that right.
That is correct.
They do live IT sales role playing, which sounds intriguing in and of itself. And there's a whole bunch of stuff we're going to get into today. I don't know where it's going to go, but it's going to be great. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Thank you so much. This is part of the sign of honor and respect. So thank you for having me here. I love what you stand for, making a difference one person at a time. This background, if you see it, is from the movie The Matrix. And if
Okay.
you think of it, Neo was the one. He
Yes,
was
he
the one
was.
starfish, and think of that difference that he made in that world. One person. So that what you stand for, and I obviously did a little bit of research on you as well and your podcast and what you stand for. So honored to be here. So thank you.
Oh man, thank you. That's amazing. So guys, if you're watching, if you're listening on podcast, you gotta go watch on YouTube so you can see the background
That's
um,
right.
and all the things. So let's get into things. What? Tell us a little bit. Oh, by the way, this is also a fellow Canadian, so that's kind of cool. He's in Winnipeg,
That's right.
um,
Winterpeg.
which we don't have as many Canadians on here, so this is a cool thing. But anyway, tell us a little bit about your upbringing and tell us wherever it goes, tell us a little bit of your story of what got you. It just might take a little while. What got you here?
So yeah. So born and raised in Winnipeg, Canada, grew up as a French Canadian, which is interesting because for somebody not from Quebec, you'd think that where does the French come from? The largest population of French speaking people outside of Quebec are here in Manitoba. And
Really?
even, yeah, so English is my second language.
Oh,
And what's
wow.
interesting is that French has actually helped me get a lot of business in Quebec, and I have clients even in France. So it's a wonderful thing. And what happened, and I'll go very quickly. As a child, my parents got divorced, and I said to myself, I will never get a divorce when I get older. Right?
Hmm.
5 years old, that's never going to happen to me. Let's fast forward as I get into the fitness equipment industry. Health and fitness was something that was still near and dear to my heart. And I opened up my first exercise equipment retail store at the age of 20. I think of that now, of being a
Wow.
business owner at 20 years old. And again, I started in the fitness business at around 17. By the age of 26, I was a shareholder of a national brand across Canada. You might know it as Fitness Depot. And for those Canadians, we went from 7 stores to 38 locations in 18 months. And I was part of that process of scaling. Happened very quickly and very young. And then I sold the shares of my company because I didn't like the direction and the vision of the company. The vision of the company was purely make money, and it was sell product at margin was literally the theme of a sales meeting. And I was just like, this is not who I am. So I
Hmm.
legitimately just went, that's it, I'm out. I'm out. Started working for another company as a rep, and I still wanted to be the provider for my family. And I was so driven to be this excellent provider for my wife and at that point, two very young daughters that I legitimately pushed her away, not knowing that I was pushing her away. It drove her to have an affair. I didn't realize it. I thought I was being the provider. I thought, this was what men needed to do and put food on the table. We were living in our dream home at the age of 30, bought my dream house down essentially almost downtown Winnipeg on the river. Uh,
Hmm.
y- you
Pretty.
know, it was gorgeous. And then the nightmare happened. She had an affair with my youngest daughter's godfather, my best friend. And then she was pregnant with his child. And then
It's like
all hell
it's
broke
like a
loose.
country song.
It's yeah, I literally lost everything. Yeah. And like Angela, it was the hardest moment. And here's the crazy thing. It's that to listen to it, you might go, whoa, like what happened? Well, I almost took my own life. That's
Jeez.
the first line of my new book coming out this year is I had my suicide all planned. And then
What stopped you?
my girls, I heard them come home. I was about to go do it. And the
Wow.
door and the creak of the screen door opened, and it clicked in. Like, what am I doing? I'm it's a selfish act. And then I reached out for help. I reached out for help. I had dropped so much weight. I wasn't even living in my own home anymore. Went through depression. I sought help. I had so many people help me out. Um, and there was a time where I would have been embarrassed to share it. Now I implore anybody who's listening, if you're ever in a, because you know what, you don't see what's happening inside the book, you see the cover. So everybody thought, wow, young guy, super successful,
Interesting.
dream life, and it was a nightmare. And it was interesting because I was angry. Everybody says, "Oh, well, she had the affair and your best friend betrayed you." And yes, and then when you point the finger at someone, you've got three coming back.
Right.
And so I had to stop and I had to feel the anger and the sadness. And you go through those five steps of grief. It's depression, anger, bargaining. Um, no, it's denial. Yeah, it's DABDA. It's depression, anger, bargaining, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. And you bounce through those five stages. And I went through them, and I could have only gone through them with professional help. And then I got into a men's group. And that men's group and that work in that men's group to this day has helped me tremendously. And it's an Al-Anon group, which is kind of like a sister connection to AA. It's for friends and families that have to deal with their alcoholic people in their lives.
Wow.
It's been tremendous for me. And so if all that to be said, I realized that my drive for success in terms of how I defined it was what kept me traveling, kept me working, workaholism. So there I was. I might have been concerned with other people's addictions and their behaviors. My addiction was work. My addiction was making money. And now and by no means am I perfect. Now I look at my calendar and I go, okay, what are the non-negotiables like date night? Because now I'm remarried and we've got five kids and actually our first grandchild coming.
Oh, cool.
So
Congrats.
it's phenomenal. Yeah, yeah. So then all that to be said, let's fast forward. Let's fast forward because throughout all of this, I kept learning from masters in terms of learning how to sell. And I'm talking, Brian Tracy, Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, like Les Brown. Had the opportunity to work with Mark Victor like these are all people that I worked with and did
Wow.
one-on-one stuff with. You might know Jim Rohn, who's Tony Robbins's like man. I got the opportunity to sit front row, share some time with Mr. Rohn, and it was just all these people, and then the names go on and on and on. And now currently with Craig Ballantyne, who is where I met Anne Laguza, who then connected us. So it's like that one person, one person away. It's the starfish thing. It's the domino effect,
Hmm.
and it's being open to it. And so during the pandemic, because previously to the pandemic, I was this hired gun. Here's this guy who's a sales coach, and it was even in the smallest company, or the companies that I would work for, I was always in the smallest territory, and for whatever the reason, even in the smallest territory, like as you know, Canada is like 10% of U.S. population.
Right.
The one company I worked with, there were three U.S. reps. I was covering Canada, and Canada was 50% of total North American sales. It just didn't make any sense.
No.
And and so then the global company hired me as a sales coach to go to Europe, to go to Asia, and I still had to maintain my numbers across Canada. At which point I'm like, I love doing this. And then I developed this concept of the S.O.S, the sales objection system, helping people develop confidence, conviction, and control when you're having, instead of a sales conversation, I like to call it a buying conversation because people don't want to be sold. They want to choose to buy.
Right.
Yeah. And so during the pandemic, the first couple of months, I couldn't travel anymore. Here's this hired gun going out to visit companies. And in 2019, I was back at it again, Angela. I was traveling. I had 140 days away in 2019. Now, my wife, Shauna, was traveling with me about half of the time. So we were having fun.
Yeah.
Then for 2 months, everything's shut down. I was in New York City. I spoke at an event, and then it was going to Washington to go do a workshop for a group. And then it was like, you got to fly back home, mister, or we're shutting it down. And then I'm going to be stuck. So for 2 months, one of my rules was, well, I don't drink on a school night. Well, there's
There's
two
no
months.
school.
Yeah, there's no school. And this is where it got
Oh,
really
gosh.
crazy. I can't make this up. I was drinking banana liqueur. Like, who does that? I'm drinking banana liqueur
If you
because there's
watch this
nothing left
guy
in the
too,
liquor.
he looks like a man's man. So banana liquor does not fit.
So it's like, who, I literally looked at it, this kind of yellowish clear liquid in a glass over ice, and I'm like, what am I doing? Because there was no liquor left in the cabinet. And it was like, what am I doing? Like, and of course, money is leaving the savings account. And it's like, listen, this it's going to get to a point where then, we're going to get into the line of credit, and I don't want to take a government handout here. So spoke with Craig, and I said, listen, we got to brainstorm something here. I got to do something. And he said, so what's the part of your sales training that people love the most? I said, hands down, S.O.S. They love it. It's a way to serve other servants. It's a way to overcome objections and everything that he goes, okay, let's do a webinar and show people what you do and make it interactive. That's what the IT stands for. It's a lot. You get to live it. You get to live interactive training because you know it, Angela. You can read a book or you can watch a video, and it doesn't mean that you could say, I've learned it. Does it really mean that you know it? So now you get to know it so that when you encounter an objection, you don't have the right, because when emotions go up, intelligence goes down.
Right.
So we develop people's skill of the discovery process to do what we call ops, which is objection prevention system, and then S.O.S, so it's the sales objection system. Either way, you develop it. So over the pandemic, I did a webinar. I scoured all of my emails I could find, my old AOL account, like I'm talking old school. Had 44 people show up. The internet crashed. They all stayed. And I got 2 clients from that event. And that's where the Dojo, which the online virtual dojo, and a dojo in martial arts is a place where people come and practice. And we use the 4 tenets of mastery. If you want to be excellent at anything, you need, number 1, you need a safe place to make mistakes. Angela, have you ever been in a place where you had an authority figure, maybe when you were younger, and they made you, for whatever reason, you just felt bad, like, why'd you do that? Or they even made, like, I had a school teacher once, like I dreaded her class because I just felt stupid all the time. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So do you, like, you don't want to go and learn? So
No.
we curate the people that come into the dojo. It's like there's some people that, no, we just won't let you in because you got to have the right energy. And we're there to lift people up. It's a safe place. It's a place of honor and respect. Then you need multiple repetitions, and it's quality repetitions. And we talked about this just before we started, right? What happens when most people, they role play? What do?
They're visiting. How was your weekend?
Yeah. What are you up to?
Yeah.
Where'd you go eat? And it's like, hey, we're here for a purpose.
Right.
Right. And then beyond quality reps, you need timely feedback. If you make a mistake, then let's do the course correction and quickly do it again so you develop the right habit. And that leads into deliberate practice. So deliberate practice is you don't go and practice with an amateur. You practice with a pro. You don't do it in front of the mirror and just develop bad habits, or even worse, the cat or the dog. Like you're laughing, and we know
like,
people.
I know
who
people
do
that
this.
are doing this. Oh yeah,
Yes.
I think I did that.
So I mean, it's great, and there's ways to practice. You can record yourself, and then you can watch yourself.
Yeah.
Objectively, the best thing to do is record yourself and then get somebody else to audit it, because then they're going to really lay it out. If you really want good coaching, get outside eyes. And so that's what we do. We do it live, or we'll take your recordings and we audit people's calls or conversations to help them. And so that's the story in a Cole's Notes or Crib Notes, depending on what country you're from.
Love that. So let's go back and touch on a few things.
Sure.
So Al-Anon, I've never heard of, which sounds really interesting. So you were in that, and their
Still
purpose is
am.
okay, and their purpose is to help people that deal with alcoholism, like
Yes.
and stuff. And then you went into alcoholism for a brief period of time,
Yeah,
basically.
here's what's interesting. Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, we all, my personal belief is that we all have different addictions.
Yeah.
And there's a trade-off that you can make. For
Mm-hmm.
example, I just recently canceled my Netflix and Disney Plus accounts
Mm-hmm.
because I found that I was spending way too much time in front of the television.
Mm-hmm.
It was horrible. If
Right.
you thought an hour a day, and most people, it's like you get to an end of a Netflix show, and what do?
The
Oh,
next
it's the
one.
cliffhanger, so you got to watch that. So if it's 30 hours a month, let's pretend it's 60 if it's 2 hours a day. Like it's just the amount of time that's absolutely
Crazy.
wasted. So I said, that's it. I'm done. I'm canceling all television. I'm out. Because I got important stuff to do.
Yeah.
And like I'm here for a purpose. It's so there are some things in terms of some people's addictions that what Al-Anon, for me, what it does is that sometimes people's behavior around alcohol, you just never know what you're going to get. It could be like, oh, they're the kind Dr. Jekyll, and then all of a sudden they're Mr. Hyde, and you never know. And sometimes those behaviors drive us to a place of fear
Mm-hmm.
or uncertainty or anger because in the same 12 steps that they teach in AA, the same steps are taught and practiced in Al Anon, which we're not in control of people, places, or things. And
Right.
it's a nice place to be able to connect with others and to be of service to others. To at this stage of the game, for me now, I can sponsor other people and help them one starfish at a time, legitimately.
So with the drinking, I'm curious because I'm a very addictive personality, and so when I cut things out, I cut it all out.
Yep.
Is that how you had to do it with alcohol, or were you? I know a lot of people talk about that. That's why I'm curious and digging into it. This is something that's been on my radar recently. That's why it's a big thing because I see a lot of people turn to alcohol in stressful times, and then it becomes out of
Mm,
hand,
right.
and it stops a lot of like you talked about just now. Like it's just it ruins a lot of lives, literally.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, it's horrible.
and so for you, when you decided, you're like, what is happening? Just curious, did you cut it completely out? Or are you still able to just have a couple here and there? Or is it like not at all? Is it like all or nothing?
So that's an excellent question. My standard it's and this is a standard because
Okay.
there's some people that have rules and then there's standards. So my
Okay.
standard is I don't drink on a school night, and that is period.
Okay.
So a school night for me is if I have any work the next day, like I can promise you that alcohol in and of itself is without question, even some of them that are delicious, you can have non-alcoholic beverages that are just as delicious.
For
So
sure.
like so my preference, if it came down to it, if somebody said, "Hey, you know what, you can't drink ever again in your life," I'd be like, "I don't care." So when I say I'm not drinking on a school night, even if I am going to have some beverages, there's the days of binging, like gone, way gone. It just now that doesn't mean that I haven't felt the effect of alcohol because even now with just one, and I'm not at that place, by the way, Angela, where like there's some people that you may know where one's too many and two's not
That's what
enough.
I was
That's
going
not
to
me at
ask.
all.
I was
I,
going to ask you, like
yeah,
touching.
I don't have that. I salivate or that's not it at all. I don't have any of those cravings, like none. And if I'm gonna have a nice meal and somebody's like let's say for example we go out for a beautiful meal and I want to have a glass of wine, I'm not going to order a cheap glass of wine. Like I want to have an experience. So I understand like with a really good red and how the wine will change over time as it oxidizes and the air comes in. Like I can truly appreciate that. So and I don't have to chug it. And I don't have this compulsion, and this is another big problem that if you open up a bottle, like you've got to finish it. Like who cares? Like that's how I feel. So I can order a glass of wine or a bottle of wine and not finish it. And like now, most restaurants, if you order a really nice bottle of wine, you can take it home with you and you can, drink it later in the week. There's things like aerating systems
Yeah.
so it's okay if you don't want to be
Right.
wasteful. And if you don't have a problem with money, and that's a money mindset thing, like it truly is. And I grew up middle class. So when you don't have money, and again, I love my father to death. He grew up poor. So if you opened up a bottle, for him, it's, well, we got to finish it. We got to drain it. And it's
That's
like,
right.
yeah, but you're draining it, Dad, and now you're hammered.
Yeah.
And it just, and as a kid, it affects you, like thankfully the rules and laws that we have now, they're, as far as laws, I mean, again, I don't think my dad meant any harm. Um, I
No.
mean, I remember him being completely hammered and us being in the back of the truck, in the back of a truck bed, where
Oh,
right?
God.
Yeah, did you ever experience
Yeah.
that as a
Oh,
kid?
yeah. Yeah.
Like that never happens today anymore, let alone sober.
Yeah.
Right? My dad would hit the brakes just to make sure all three of us were there, like bang, bang, bang. Okay, they're all there, and then he's right.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. So, I mean, but let's touch on that a little bit more. Like you said, for some people, that they cannot do that. And
No.
I'm sure that some of the stuff you've learned through Al-Anon
Yes.
is, how do you support someone? I don't know if this is
That's a
something
great
you've learned,
question.
but something I'm
Yep.
interested in if you have. And how do you support someone that cannot have one
Yeah.
and continually has
Yeah.
one, which does not turn
So
into, yeah,
so
like
it's
what's the
called
best way to support someone in your life that's dealing with the
it's
addiction?
it's hard. It's hard and it's hard work and so it's called detachment and it's called detachment with love. And there's a difference.
Okay.
So there's detachment is not indifference because when you're indifferent, you're not even angry anymore. Like you just don't give a shit.
Right.
When you're detached, you care and you care enough for that person. And yet there's that difference because for me, I'm the codependent. I'm
Right.
not like that's the work that as an Al-Anoner that I'm doing. It's that the people that drink, I want them to be happy. So much so that I'm not happy until they are. And that's like that doesn't make any that's insanity.
Right.
And so it's a phenomenal program because it's like the alcoholic can be very selfish, and then you realize as the Al-Anon, so are you. It's just you're not drinking, which is crazy. So say somebody has the compulsion to drink, and they drink so much that they get drunk, and they get drunk and they get sick, and they fall out of bed. Now a lot of people would say, okay, well they're let's say they're your partner or they're somebody you care about and it could be that you're out on a guy's weekend and one of the buddies like it got sick and you're there cleaning him up and you're putting him back to bed. That's that's not the way that you would be detached. If somebody fell out of bed, you don't just leave them there either. They fall out of bed, you take a pillow, you put it under their head, you cover them with a blanket, and then you leave them because that's that's an example of detachment with love.
Interesting.
And it's
Okay.
hard because it's you want to be helpful and you've just got to let it go because they made their bed and they got to sleep in it. Because if you're there cleaning up after them, then
Right.
it absolves them from bad behavior. And if you're getting, hey, here's some aspirin and here's some coffee and here's everything to make you feel like, listen, you behaved that way. Now it's up to you to get out of it. And some people never get out of it, Angela.
Yeah,
And you can't control it. And for some people, like they need a geographical escape. Well, what's funny is you'll find that God has a way, whether you believe in God and or source or the universe, there's a higher power around. Um, there's a way that life will have you repeating lessons. If you didn't figure out the first
right.
time, you'll repeat the patterns. Tony Robbins will say, like, once you figure out the pattern, then you can change the pattern.
Right.
And it's right. That's that finger pointing. There's three coming back. It's not someone else that you're going to change. You got to have the courage to change yourself. It's hard,
That's
and it's hard work, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting and very helpful. All right, let's switch back to sales. What do you see as some of the biggest, I don't know what the word is, struggles? What stops most people in sales? Like objections, obviously, like you said,
Yep.
it's kind of the biggest thing. What is it about objections that stops people?
So it's actually, this is going to be very interesting for you to hear this, Angela. It's the personal work. It's that emotion.
Right.
So if you don't do your own personal emotional work and then you're encountering an objection at work or in sales, your emotional, your feelings, which a lot of dudes think that, "Oh, I don't want to feel." So here's the problem, guys, is that if you're not doing that personal work where you can be in a place of serenity and be uh, really empathic in your approach, then what happens is your emotions go up. And when your emotions go up, your intelligence goes down. And then you end up saying things that you regret, and then you lose sales. So what happens with objections is if you are in a place where you've done your own personal work, then you don't care if somebody tells you no, because you don't care. You're at, it's just okay. Listen, good for you. I would rather, by the way, I would rather have a no than a maybe, because maybe, or I want to think about it, or like lack of clarity just adds more things down the road to your calendar. No means terrific. I can move on to the next
Move on.
person, which is great. Now, the other piece of this objection puzzle is also understanding that you need to acknowledge people. And most people don't. They're just waiting for their turn to speak, or they're waiting to ask another question to get to the bottom of this. Or if you're a lot of men, we tend to want to fix things as opposed to just listen,
Mm-hmm.
right? Have you ever encountered that?
Probably done it lots.
So there's
I'm reading about listening actually in a book right now. So kidding.
right.
Yeah.
So what makes a great salesperson is there's a concept that we call poke your eyes out. Yeah, it's so you remember it. Instead, it's not poking your legitimate
I hope
visual
not.
lenses out. It's poke your eyes out, meaning instead of using I statements like "I understand how you feel." You know what? The moment that you say "I understand," "I get it," you're taking all the emphasis off of your guest.
Putting it on
I
you.
don't call them prospects; they're guests. Because when you treat somebody like a guest, how are they treated?
Better.
Yeah, they're VIP. My grandfather used to give up his own bedroom when guests came in from out of town. Blew my mind. Never forgot it. And so, in that same concept, treat your prospects like a guest. And it's not about, "I understand. I've been there too." Somebody says, "Yeah, you know what? My dog just passed away." "Oh, it was so hard when my dog passed." Listen, shut the hell up about your dog. The answer to that is, "Wow, you're going through a hard time right now and you're grieving." And you, what's called affect labeling. And when you do this really well, people will be listened to into existence. I'm going to say that again. You listen people into existence. And by the way, this is a skill I can honestly tell you that nobody else teaches. So this is the reason that people come into the dojo and they crush, they become black belts. And the goal to becoming a black belt isn't so that you crush your sales. Your goal is to then teach it to others so that you can make the world a better place, because serving is selling, right?
Serving.
Selling is serving. S.O.S. is serve other servants. It's not just the sales objection system is the way to get people in. "Oh, I want to overcome object." Then you realize I'm serving other servants here. Yes, you are.
That's
Yeah.
cool. I love
Yeah.
that. That's awesome. In wrapping up, I always have three final questions, and then anything we didn't touch on they think would be really impactful for our listeners.
Okay.
So much value. By the way, all the information for Joe and the sales objection system, all of that stuff will be in the show notes. So please reach
Mhm.
out to Joe. As you can tell, super approachable, If you have any questions, you can ask. And if this is something that would help your sales organization, which I'm sure it would, reach out for that too. So first and final question is, if someone's looking for their purpose, what's one sentence you would say that could help them find it?
Someone looking for their purpose. This is such a great question. If there was one sentence, I would say sit in the quiet.
Cool.
It take 60 minutes, sit in the quiet, no phone, no TV, no radio, no distractions. Just sit in the quiet. It's amazing what happens. The noise will eventually it'll come to you. Most people don't do it. They're doom scrolling.
Mhm.
Don't write anything down, just sit in the quiet.
Well, that second question, what's a favorite quote and why?
Mm. Ooh. Favorite quote. This came to me from a guy by the name of Blair Singer. And he taught me when emotions go up, intelligence goes down. That was big. I'm going to go different. I got one. I got one. An even better quote.
Okay.
You're going to love this.
Like it.
This is actually from an Al Anon sponsor. His
Okay.
name's Bill. He's a retired Anglican priest.
Okay.
And he says this about relationships. Let there be space in your relationship, for the cypress cannot grow in the shadow of the oak. That was so poignant because sometimes you can be in a relationship with someone and it's important to just give each other a bit of space. The
Mm,
cypress can't grow in the shadow of an oak. And so, and a cypress is beautiful and an oak is strong. So, yeah. So, thank you, Bill V.
I love that.
Yeah.
Third question, what's one word or sentence you want on your gravestone?
He knew how to love.
Hmm. That.
Yeah.
All right. You run into someone in a coffee shop and, they've listened to this. They learned about, the story and
Oh,
taking
you are
control
good.
and emotion and being okay with it, apparently,
I
too,
love it. That's great. Thank you.
which is awesome. What's something, though, that we didn't touch on, Joe, that you think would be really impactful for our listeners?
Um, Something that we didn't touch on is I touched upon it briefly with asking for help.
Mhm.
I would go back to that. Ego is something that with personal development, we quickly, and I say I'll use an I statement to own it in this context. I'm not looking to sell
Mhm.
anything. I've learned that as I start peeling away the layers of the ego and truly as we start to do this, we get closer to whatever the light is. And what happens is that there's less fear when you start dropping the ego because you end up realizing it's like, hey, this whole thing is not about me. You can get what you want when you realize that it's not about you. It's awesome.
That's so good. I love that. Guys, you definitely want to share this. Reach out, like I said, reach out to Joe if you have some sales people. I'm sure you'll benefit a lot for in lots of different ways. So I
Hmm.
appreciate you being on. Guys, let's go share this. If we can help one person or one starfish at a time together, we can help change the world. Thanks for being on, Joe.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you.